There's a lot of big games coming to Xbox this year, and we're going to talk about it. But first up, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and share. It really helps the channel out. So between now and December, there's actually a lot of big releases coming, and I want to talk about the ones I think people should keep their eyes on. And again, there's a lot of cool games coming. So anyway, let's get into the video. Next up, we have Hades. Defy God of the Dead as you hack and slash your way out of the underworld in this roguelike dungeon crawler from the creators of Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre. Now this game is highly critically acclaimed, and I've heard nothing about this game other than good stuff, non-stop, and it's coming to Xbox Game Pass this month. Also, it's going to be optimized for Xbox Series X and S. It's going to be 4K, 60 frames per second on both Series X and S, which is really awesome to hear. Again, cool art style, and frankly, I'm always getting told to play this. First up, we're starting off with Psychonauts 2. You play as Rasputin, whose dream is to become a member of the International Psychic Espionage Organization, also known as the Psychonauts. It's a crazy 3D platformer where your character has psychic powers and acrobatic combat, and it looks like with the time Microsoft and resources they've given them, it looks like they've been able to go all out and make the game they truly wanted to make. It has genre bending levels, so one minute you're playing a 3D platformer and the next minute it's 2D, and they go all over the place, and it's truly a wacky Double Fine game. It's also going to be on Xbox Game Pass Day 1 this August, and it's also optimized for Xbox Series X and S, so you're going to get those super high frame rates and resolutions, and also auto HDR on those consoles as well. The game looks fantastic, and I highly recommend people really pay attention to this one because we don't get a ton of games like this, and this could be one of the best. Next up, we have Aliens Fireteam Elite. You and a squad of up to 3 other people have to survive, get to your objective, and defeat waves of alien xenomorphs. Now, this game looks fantastic. You can go solo with AI squad mates if you want. There is loot in the game, but the main focus and objective is to survive. And you're not going to be fighting just the aliens you see in the movies. There's going to be multiple different variants, enemy types. There's also going to be new, completely different alien types, also androids as well, and surprises along the way. If you've paid attention to any of the alien media over the past decade, such as spin-offs and video games, you're going to see a lot of callbacks to the franchise. Even things like Prometheus and Alien Isolation are hinted at in this game, so it just goes to show that the developers really care about this universe and the franchise, and which is a really good look for a game like this. It looks really solid. It comes out this August, and it's optimized for Xbox Series X and S. Now a quick rundown of a few more before we get into the big ones. Life is Strange True Colors. You play as an empath in this game, which is going to be really interesting, and a completely new type of power for the franchise. Next up, we have World War Z Aftermath. It's a full-on sequel. You can play in first person, and there's going to be a way to import all the maps from the first game, much like how you can in the Hitman games, which is really cool. And next up, we have Life is Strange Remastered Collection. Again, both games looking the best. Next up, we have Tales of Arise. This is Bandai Namco's next big JRPG, and it's coming to Xbox. And it looks amazing. It's set in a world that's just recovered from 300 years of war. The characters are surrounded by mysteries, and they're using this new technique to make the graphics look like a cross between a water painting and anime, and the result is fantastic. It has this bright, vibrant look. The game looks amazing, and I think more people need to pay attention to this. It comes out this September, and the cool thing about this is it's a JRPG, and it's not set in a huge open world, which is going to be refreshing because you don't need an open world for an RPG to work. And from everything I've seen so far, it looks amazing. Next up, we have Lost Judgment. Following the events of the first game, this takes place in the Yakuza universe. It's a crime drama, and it's filled with mini-games, wacky over-the-top stuff, and fast-paced combat. And unlike the direction of Like a Dragon, the Judgment series is going forward with action-style combat, and it just works. This is going to be way more intense when it comes to drama than the first game. The mini-games actually look really cool in this, and it's just going to offer more of what people like about this universe. And when it comes to things like the mini-games, the soundtrack, the quests, all over the top stuff. And this is also coming to Xbox One consoles, unlike the remaster of the first game. Next up we have Far Cry 6, set in the tropical island of Yara, where you have to liberate the lands from the menacing dictator played by Giancarlo Esposito. Fantastic actor, and what a person to get to play the villain of a new Far Cry game. It's going to be an awesome game, and this is the first Far Cry to feature a main city, so having taller buildings, more buildings to enter, and it's going to completely change up how quests can play out. There's going to be more types of items to interact with. You can even pet the alligator, which can be a party member in this game. Honestly, Far Cry games are over the top. People like them for what they are, and this game looks like they're just leaning into it. And I love it when developers take advantage of the medium, because these are video games. The Far Cry developers know what they're doing. It's going to be an over-the-top action experience. And plus, having some fantastic actors behind the scenes always makes the story play out a lot more interesting. Anyway, that comes out in October, and it's going to run at 4K 60 frames per second on Xbox Series X. And this game looks gorgeous. Next up we have Back 4 Blood by Turtle Rock. Now if you're a fan of Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, you're in luck, because this is a spiritual successor made by the developers of those games. And they also taken it up a notch or two, because this is going to have bigger bosses, more enemies on screen, and a whole lot more toys to play with in the process. And one of the cool things about this game is that if you're playing with a friend that owns content that you don't own, you can play that content as long as you're in the same match, which is just the best way to go about it. And the really cool thing about this game is that it's launching day one in Xbox Game Pass, meaning from the day it launches, it's going to have a huge, thriving community day one, which is the most important thing for a game like this, because it has PvP, co-op, and everything. It needs a community to last a long time, and with Game Pass, they can do that. And frankly, as a Left 4 Dead fan, they're making the game I've been wanting for the past decade. People have been wanting Left 4 Dead 3, and this has everything that we've been wanting, plus more. It's going to be optimized for Xbox Series X and S out of the gate. Again, gorgeous game, and it's gritty, it's gory, it's literally such a cool looking game. Again, it's out later this year, and it's looking awesome. Next up we have Battlefield 2042. The stars have pretty much aligned for EA this year when it comes to military first-person shooter multiplayer, because this looks like it's going to be the best. And the thing is, people have been wanting EA and DICE to return to modern style combat for years. And by what I've seen in this game, and from what I've heard, it sounds amazing. You're going to have up to 128 players in a match. You're going to have more vehicles available on screen at any given time. More types of vehicles. You're going to have Battlefield Portal, which means you can create different types of matches using items and characters and vehicles from different times, such as Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5. It's just going to be over the top. They're going to have maps come into the game regularly, completely remade from previous Battlefield games. It just looks amazing. Again, as a Battlefield fan, it looks like Battlefield's getting back to what it needs to be most: the best military first-person shooter. Next up we have Forza Horizon 5 by Playground Games. No one makes open world racing games like they do. They are just gorgeous, they're fun, and even if you're not really into racing games, these are easy to get into. You just go around driving, drifting on the mud, doing events, and just getting a better score. It's just a fun game. And the thing about this game is that with it being set in Mexico, they can play with the environment a lot of fun. It's just pure fun, drive around with your friends and have a good time. And this looks like their best game to date, which is saying a lot by their standards. Next up we have Dying Light 2. Now the first game surprised everyone, and it was just such a good game. And the next game is going to be even better. It's going to take place in a map that's over twice the size of all the original game's maps combined, which is quite massive. And considering you can go inside a lot of the buildings, that's just a lot of space to play with. Also, there's choices you're going to make throughout this game that completely change the environment and how the world plays. So that's going to be the cool factor in this game. And you have to worry about humans in this game as well as zombies. So zombies during the night will come at you fast, and during the day you have to look out for other survivors. The AI can be really smart in this game, and it's been a long time coming. They've been talking about next gen tech longer than anyone. And the thing about this game is that the developers have been talking about how the open world plays out and how even things like random ledges can break apart and fall away, so you don't even expect it. So you have to be on your toes all the time. It looks like a good game, and I believe that Techland is really going to deliver on this title. Next up we have Guardians of the Galaxy by Eidos Montreal. Now this game is purely single player. It's an action adventure where you play as Star-Lord, going on a quest across the galaxy and getting up to no good. And frankly, I really like the look of this game. A lot of people think this is going to be a shared world looter shooter. It's not that. It's a single player action adventure game. And the thing is, we don't get action adventure games set in space ever. So it's really cool that we're getting this. Again, Eidos Montreal know what they're doing. They've talked in detail about this game, and the combat in this game looks really cool. So basically you play as Star-Lord and you can call in other characters to do combos and special moves and stuff. So that's a really cool aspect to it. There's also dialogue choices that will make events play out slightly differently. Again, if you want an action adventure that's sci-fi, this is going to be that. And also it's going to have a ton of outfits in the game, all of which you can earn just by playing the game, which is cool to see and something we need more of going forward. Now, when it comes to games like this, I hope we see sequels even before playing, because again, we don't get games like this, and we don't get many superhero games in the modern era, and it looks awesome. And last but not least, Halo Infinite. This game has been a long time coming, and as a Halo fan since the original, I like what they're doing. They're not relying completely on older Halo titles to sell it. They're bringing a lot of new things to the table, and that's what's always interested me when it comes to Halo. Not rehashing old stuff to, play up to a certain fan base. I like to see these new things implemented into Halo, and it looks like they're going to do that with this title. The campaign looks like it's going to be pretty ambitious. It's going to be longer than your typical, first-person shooter campaign, which is cool, because I think Halo needs that, especially in 2021. And look, the multiplayer. I put out a video recently of my thoughts of the Halo Infinite multiplayer tech test. I'll put the link in the description down below. I highly recommend people watch it, because I go all in on what are my thoughts on it. And look, it's good. It's really good. And the thing about this is that in the sea of free-to-play multiplayer in 2021, Halo has to make a stand. It has to make a big impression. I don't think people really realise what that is. It's going up against Warzone. It's going up against other free-to-play things like PUBG, Valorant, and things like, Fortnite. It's going up against every free-to-play game. But with it being Halo, with it being how good this game controls, with it being how Halo Infinite's going to be, this has the potential to stand out, make a stand, and be the game people want it to be. Because again, Halo Infinite has so much potential, and it will go the distance. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications. You'll be notified for future videos because YouTube doesn't always let everyone know. And the YouTube podcast news is coming in the next few days, hopefully. Follow me on Twitter, the link will be in the description down below. I'm out. I hope everyone has a good day. Peace.